We are live, baby. Yes, we are. Hello, we gonna wait for some viewers to get in here. Peace and love, everybody. If you are viewing, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. We're gonna wait for some folks to get up in here. Gonna wait for some folks to get up in here. We got a good one for y'all today, people. We got a really good one for y'all today. So shout out to everybody that's viewing. We're gonna get started here pretty soon. We're gonna wait for some more viewers to come up in here. So thank y'all so much for tuning in to Uncut and Uncorked. Really appreciate that. We're gonna wait for some more viewers to get in here to get started. So we see the viewers are coming in. They coming in. Yes, they are coming in. So I'm excited. Thank you all so much. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to another episode of Uncut and Uncorked. I go by the name of Dwayne Anderson, aka Earthly Vine. Thank you all so much for tuning into the show. I really appreciate it. This is season one, and for those who don't know, Uncut and Uncorked is a show that's all about just celebrating Black excellence, and that's exactly what we're doing on this episode. And season one is about Black love, and so I've been interviewing a variety of couples regarding Black love and their journey when it comes to love and when it comes to Black love. And it has been an amazing journey to learn from all these great, amazing couples. And we got another great couple on today where we're talking about the, kind of like the ups and downs of, like through the whole quarantine process. So if y'all remember back in 2020, we had the whole quarantine process. And then what it's like even now to still be in a relationship during a pandemic. And so we know that's a whole challenge in itself. And so we are going to jump right in it, and we're going to go ahead and get started. But before we do that, this is episode, I think, 6. This is episode 6, I believe. Episode 6. And so really excited about this one. But before we go into that, before we bring our lovely couple on, I'm going to go ahead and introduce the wine of the week. So if you don't know, you should know. Make sure you follow your boy at Earthly Vine on Instagram, Dwayne Anderson on Facebook, YouTube, Uncut and Uncorked. But make sure you follow me on Instagram where I posted my wine of the week. And so, as I told folks on my Instagram, I'm doing all Black wines this month, y'all. And I'm going to try to do all Black wines for the remainder of this show. I'm going to do as much as I can. And so, I went out to the Chi-Town, Chicago, and then I got a Black-owned wine called Love Corkscrew. So, if y'all can see this right here, it's called Love Corkscrew. It's the We're Moving On Up 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon. And it was founded by a Black woman who's actually a member of Delta Sigma Theta in Chicago. And so, she founded this wine, and it's called the We're Moving On Up 2018 Cabernet Sauvignon. And it is a delicious wine, y'all. It's really good. It's super smooth. It's only around, I think, $12 I got it for. You can get it at Benny's. You can get it at Target. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it kind of anywhere at your local wine store, local grocery store. I think they have it at Whole Foods, Costco's as well, I believe. So you can get it anywhere. It's really good with like pork. It's really good with pot roast. It's really good with any kind of meats in a sense. And so, definitely check out Love Corkscrew in Chicago. The wine was made in California, but they're based out of Chicago, which is pretty cool. And so, this is only my second raid on the show, so I had to go out to the Chi-Town to get that. But we're gonna bring them on, y'all. We talking about the ups and downs of what it's like to be in a relationship during the quarantine period, and then also right now. And today's Valentine's Day, so we gotta acknowledge that. So we're talking about Black love, and the day is the day for love. And so first and foremost, let me thank this lovely couple for even coming on today, for even speaking with me today on Valentine's Day and talking about Black love, right? Black love. And so Valentine's Day is the day of love. So happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there, those who are single, those who are in relationships. Just happy Valentine's Day to everyone. So we're going to go ahead and bring them up on, and I'm excited. I'm highly excited. So here we go. Let's get them up on here, y'all. Hello. There they go. What's going on? How y'all doing?
I can't hear you, Dwayne.
Can you hear me?
So it could just be us. So we heard you on another device, but then we tried to switch devices to hear you on that device, and it's a little delayed. So we're trying to figure out like why we can't hear you on here anymore. But I think it's probably us. So we were like going to try to like I don't know if it's going to disrupt you, but we're going to try to like back out and come back in. But I don't know if that's going to disrupt you at all.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, brother.
Okay,
No, go
okay.
ahead.
So we're
Go
going
ahead.
to try
Yeah,
to do it really quickly.
no problem. It's
Okay,
all good. It's all good. We having
okay, okay. Cool, cool.
some
Give
technical
us like
issues,
1 second.
but we are going to get this right. And so, if you can put into the chat what you are drinking on, if you can. Like I said, I am drinking the Love Corkscrew wine here out of Chicago. So put into the chat what you are drinking on. Put into the chat which y'all Valentine's Day plans. Put into the chat y'all Valentine's Day plans. You know, we want to know what y'all doing. We want to know what kind of wine y'all drinking on for Valentine's Day. And so I think we got them back on. Here we go. We're gonna bring them on round two. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, we live. Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we're
ready,
good now.
Okay. Thank y'all. Hey, listen, it's good. Man, someone said kabusha. First of all, shout out to my man Watkins in the building. I don't want to mispronounce your first name, but that kombucha one, I heard kombucha is really, really good. And I'm not sure you're talking about the tea or the actual wine, but I heard there's actually a kombucha live wine. So just want to shout out to that. But okay, so so first of all, we got the lovely Imani and Steve in the building. How are y'all doing today? How are y'all doing today?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, good, pretty good.
Yeah.
Feeling good.
That's
Happy
great to
Valentine's.
hear. Yes, happy. I gotta ask y'all this: what are y'all doing to celebrate Valentine's Day? By the way, it's Imani's birthday, y'all. So make sure y'all put in the comments "Happy Birthday" to Imani. She out here celebrating her birthday with us on Uncut and Uncorked. But what are y'all doing for Valentine's Day? What is y'all day been looking like on this day of love?
It's been pretty chill so far.
Okay,
Like my request for my birthday this year. Last year I was able to have a birthday like pre-COVID, so I was able to go out and do everything. So this year I'm just trying to literally just chill. So it's been pretty chill. We had cake. We've been sipping on a little bit of wine. I opened some gifts, but yeah,
okay,
it's been pretty chill. So
okay. Cool. So you said y'all been sipping on wine. So my question is, this show we all about the wine. So what wine are y'all sipping on over there? If you don't mind me asking.
So Imani brought out some very fancy wine that Snoop Dogg has been manufacturing. I didn't know Snoop Dogg had a wine.
He does. Yep, he
So,
does. I gotta try it actually.
yeah, it's actually not too bad. Imani's more of a wine drinker than I am, so this might be more her speed. But it's a pretty good wine for Snoop Dogg for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
it has like an interactive filter, so like you download the app and the like I guess the label sort of talks to you. So that's like a cool feature.
Okay. Got you. Okay. Now is it like a red or a white wine or
It's a red.
a red wine? Okay. Now, Imani, are you a dry wine, sweet wine kind of person? Like,
Usually I'm more on the sweet end. I'm trying to go more into the not too dry, but I'll do like a little dry.
a little dry. Okay, a little dry. See, okay. And Steve, how about you? Are you dry, sweet, or
I just like it sweet, man. I ain't even gonna. I just like it sweet. As long as it's sweet wine, I don't even care. I ain't too into the dry, but like if it's there, it's the only thing, and it's like something to sip on, then sure. But I'm more so like the sweet though for sure.
got you? Okay, no, that's fine. And so, Imani, if you don't mind, where can the folks find that wine at? Did you get it from a Target? Did you get it from Walmart, local wine store? Or?
Yeah, we got it from our local liquor store. So I think pretty much everyone has it, but it's called 19 Crimes, but they're different sort of like affiliates of who the label are. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, you got to send that to me because I definitely want to try that out. Now, does Snoop own that, or did he like partner up with someone to do that?
He partnered up with another label, and they just
Another
have
label.
both.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, well, thank y'all so much for sharing with the people what y'all drinking on. And like I said, folks, we got Steve and Imani here. It's going to be a great show. I am truly excited about it. Just to give a little backstory for those who don't know, Steve, when we meet last year, I think it was
Yeah.
last year. Yeah.
What, it might even been before that because I was interviewing in like May, June, so it might even be before that for sure.
Oh, it might have been. It might have been. It definitely might have been. But Steve and I work together. I'm not gonna say where we work, but just know we work together. Okay. And so Steve and I met then, and man, Steve's been a good brother ever since. And then when, of course, when he was working, Imani came around too, so I got the opportunity to meet Imani, and it was just nothing but genuine energy coming from them two, and nothing but love ever since. Me and Imani had a funny interaction. I'm not gonna talk about it on camera, but her and I kind of interacted a little bit on something we both wasn't expecting. So that was funny. Uh, but no, yeah. So I guess my kind of my first question would be for you all is with the start of 2020 was a year, right? And so the start of 2021, I guess just how have you both been like individually, but then also as a couple as well?
Okay.
She asked me to go first as I'm drinking some wine.
Okay.
But that's a great question. I think for me personally, 2020 it brought a lot of W's. It brought a lot of great things, a lot of blessings. I think the hardest part through it all in terms of like taking care of self and just how I've been doing this is like COVID has definitely like put a like a turn, a wrench to some things. Some passions like shifted. I started doing new things like baking cakes, stuff. I started to get in some things that I was like telling myself I wanted to try, but hadn't really done before. So like, I think 2020 and COVID just in general brought a lot of great things, but it also brought like, some negative things too, in terms of like, I was finishing up my grad program. I couldn't walk the stage. So that was, that kind of sucked a little bit just to not get that last experience of a, I guess collegiate ceremony of graduating. And then, just when COVID started, it seemed like everything kind of happened so quickly. We were told to go home. It wasn't like an exit. It was like, okay, y'all might come back, y'all might not. And when we were actually able to return to courses, we were taking online courses. So I finished the last part of my grad program taking like Zoom courses, which wasn't the best, but I think it taught me a lot and gave me an experience to see like what current students are feeling about taking Zoom courses.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think I've been doing well in this year. I've been, I'm doing better than I thought I would be doing mentally. And I think a lot of that just comes from praying more. COVID 2020 has definitely allowed me to do more things I like to do, whether that's playing video games, sleeping, spending more time in reflection, allowing me to like pick up new passions. Like as I said, I started baking. I'm slowly starting to get my YouTube channel. I'm drafting. I'm in the drafting stages right now. I'm in the
Talk
drafting
about it.
So I've been pushing that to the side for a while too. But I'm in the drafting stages of doing something like getting into my passion that I actually want to do. And I think this past year has definitely allowed for me to do that. But it also came with some challenges as well. But I'm doing well though. I'm doing well for the most part.
Wow, that's amazing. That's that man. Thank you so much for sharing that, brother. And it was crazy because some of that I heard off camera, but it's good, to hear that some of that. And I didn't know you was baking, so you gotta teach me some skills. You gotta teach me some skills. But Imani, I guess I'll go with you next. How are you feeling coming into this year?
Yeah. So
And folks, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but the people are asking, can y'all speak up a tad bit more because they can't hear you?
definitely. And so I was gonna say sort of like the start of this year. So I'm currently in graduate school, and a lot of my colleagues have been saying that our new phrase is "I'm doing COVID fine" as opposed to like just "I'm doing fine" in general.
Yeah.
And I think that that's sort of like a huge reality that we're facing right now. Similar to Steve, like 2020 was a lot of transitions for us. We relocated from we weren't living in Illinois before, and so we relocated in the midst of 2020. I ended up moving back home, and so like I said, I started a graduate school program. So like there were a lot of different huge transitions. Got engaged. There are a lot of huge transitions that happened.
Hey, we're gonna get into that too.
Right. So yeah, there are a lot of huge transitions that happened in 2020, and now 2021 is here, and it's like, so what's happening with these things, type of thing. So just sort of like working through all of those different transitions, and sort of like my motto right now for 2021 is just like a loading phase. Like there's a lot of things that I'm working on, like I said, graduate school, thinking about wedding planning. So like there are a lot of things that I'm getting ready for in regards to what's about to take place in 2022. So just making sure I'm staying focused on the goals in the midst of everything that's sort of chaotic going on around us, like things that are in the world and the White
Yeah.
House, different things like that. So just making sure I'm staying grounded, rooted in my faith with that journey as well. So yeah, that's just sort of where I'm at right now.
That's beautiful. Moving in my faith. That's man. That's powerful right there. I can so much relate to that. So, thank y'all so much for sharing that. Uh, you talked about, you both talked about your individual journeys, right? But then of course you all are a union, right? You are a couple, and you do move as a union, but also as individuals. So I want to kind of get to the couple piece, right? So I want to ask y'all. This is a question I've always wanted to ask, and I think Steve and I talked about it a little bit, but never really got into details. How explain, if anyone, one person wanted to answer this, y'all both want to answer this. Kind of explain how you both met each other. Like, what was that process like? How y'all met each other? Because I know with every couple, everybody got their own story. So Steve might have his story, Imani got her story. So how did you all meet each other, and what did that process look like for you all as individuals?
Yeah. Imani loves some people ask me this question because she thinks that like my story on how we met is any different from her story.
Okay.
But Imani and I, we went to the same undergraduate institution. So we
Mhm.
went to a small liberal arts college in the middle of Granville, Ohio, for 4 years. And Imani is actually 1 year older than me. So we came we came. She's talking about cougar. We came through a very similar scholarship program. Well, the same scholarship program. She's a year older than me, so it's called Posse. And so this scholarship allowed us to like pretty much go to this college for 4 years on tuition. And so I always kind of knew who Imani was, but due to her being older than me, we kind of hung out in different friend groups.
Okay.
So it's interesting. Like my freshman year, Imani helped me get my first job. Like,
Okay.
I don't even know if she really understands that. Like, literally, I was looking for a job, and she worked at the rec center, and she was like, "Yeah, we're hiring." She looked at my resume like she was a resume builder, like she had been getting paid for this. So I'm like, who is this woman who was only 1 year older than me trying to look at my resume to
Yeah.
tell
Yeah.
me about my life?
Yeah.
And so like that was like my introduction to Imani, and then so yeah, I mean that's how we met. We met through college. So college brought us
Okay.
together, and that's when we kind of, as we got older, I think we started to know each other a little bit more. And so one thing led to another, and I eventually did ask Imani to be my girlfriend. At some point in my college career,
Okay.
like my junior year. She was a senior, I was a junior, so I didn't ask her to be my girlfriend around then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 I like that. I like that. I like.
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. All right.
No, that makes sense. Now, Imani, does yours match up to that? Is yours the same, or do you got a slightly different story?
Yeah, so he gave like the big picture, but he's missing a lot of key details in there.
Okay. Okay. Here we go. Here we go.
So, first of all, he forgot to mention that he was like the first and only black male student to be posted and like plastered throughout our campus before he even got there. So,
Okay.
like I said, I'm a year older than him. So, everybody's like, who is this freshman kid? He had like an NPR article out. Like, he was the
Okay.
whole talk on campus. I'm like, like, who is this child?
Oh, Steve
So,
being humble, huh? Okay.
right. Humble brags. So people knew about him before he got to campus, type of thing. But
Okay.
like he said, we were in the same scholarship program, so that was sort of how I got acquainted with him. And then we had, like he said, similar friend groups, but we weren't always sort of in the same group with that. So like we just sort of knew each other passing, and we had a lot of similar friends, but we weren't necessarily friends. And
Okay.
then in his sophomore year, that was my junior year, I had joined a sorority, and so I got a little bit more acquainted with him in that realm. Like he knew who I was, but it still wasn't like we were super close. And then
Okay.
his sophomore year, wait, was it sophomore year?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of his sophomore year, he ended up crossing, and so we were
Yeah.
in similar circles again with fraternity and sorority life. So that
Okay.
was, I would say, that would brought us even closer in that realm. And that was, I would say, once he crossed, he wasn't as humble in the same regards. I felt like he started
Uh-oh.
feeling himself just a little bit,
Okay.
just a little bit.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm listening though. I'm listening.
The letters had you feeling yourself, Steve?
I think he had a boost of confidence that I had noticed before. Let's just go with that.
Okay.
I think it was in that way that he sort of, began to approach me and, just be more explicit about his intentions in us dating. Right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Got you.
It was from there, like the end of his sophomore year, my junior year, and then we started officially dating after that summer. So.
Okay. Listen. Okay. Listen, Steve. You never told me you was that guy before you got to campus. Okay. I just love how I never knew about that until now, and we known each other for quite some time, for almost a year now. So, okay, I like that. I like that.
From my perspective, I wasn't the man. I was just trying to push through, get out of there, graduate, do my thing. That's all I was trying to do. But I don't know nothing else.
No, that's humbling, man. That's humbling. But and for those who don't know, Steve is a very humble guy, so it just doesn't shock me whatsoever. And for those who also don't know, Imani is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and Steve's a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. So that's a little backstory of when they say they join Greek organizations, which are Divine Nine organizations. For those who don't know, watching. So definitely want to make sure we share that. But okay, no, y'all talked about how y'all met. Y'all talked about, right, because I think back. So I think back to, what was that? I think Imani talked about this. Her birthday was before last year. Her birthday was right before the pandemic, right? And then, of course, right before the pandemic, y'all were still a couple. Y'all were still engaged. All those great things. And so I wanna kind of get at that transition. That transition it took from, okay, like this is the normal, and then we just bam, this pandemic hits, and we got to go straight into quarantine. So as y'all as a union, when it comes to y'all relationship, what was that transition for you all like? Because for those who don't know, you also too don't live together in a sense, as well. And so, what was that transition for you all, going from living these normal, like everything good, pandemic, we go see each other when we want, everything cool, until now the quarantine happened, and then you all had to transition right into that. And then Steve, I believe you were job searching at that time too. So what was that like for you all transitioning into that?
Yeah. You want me to go? Go ahead.
So let's rewind to like February 2020. And so, like you said, everything was sort of normal. We were both living in Pittsburgh at the time, and
Yep.
So like everything, like you said, was normal. We could do what we want when we wanted, and then COVID sort of happened, and so things were definitely shifting. We had known that we were planning to leave Pittsburgh, but COVID sort of like expedited that process.
Okay.
And so with that, sort of like how we, I guess, envisioned that process being, it just sort of shifted. And so not too long after March, I think maybe even March or April, anywho, we came back to Illinois. And so that was when it was like, okay, we need to figure out what exactly is going to happen. Also, like Steve mentioned, he was graduating. And so from then, after he graduated, that was sort of where things came about, and he decided to ask me to marry him. And so that was sort of like at the height of when COVID began and quarantine began.
Yeah.
That was when he was like, okay, yeah, now is the perfect time to engage you when we're about to not be together anymore. But so that was sort of when we were like, okay, like this is going to be very interesting. And then not too long after that, he ended up getting employed. And so like that also led to us also being further apart than we had initially thought. And then also sort of a little bit of more background. Like we said, we're a year apart. And so I had graduated while he was still in school. And so we had started our relationship when both of us were in school. And then it was a year of us being like 3 hours away. And then there was a year of us being, well, a year, 2 years of us being in the same location. And then it was like, okay, now we're about to go back to that. Remember that time when we weren't together?
Yeah.
We're doing that again now type of thing. So I just think that the fact that we also had that experience and we're still able to come on the other side of that, I think has allowed for this season to be a lot more beneficial than I think a lot of other couples where they haven't had the same experience. So yeah, I think that would be my take on it. What's yours?
Yeah. I mean, Imani pretty much took it and ran with it, and I don't really know what I would say to add to that outside of the fact of um, like what Imani mentioned is very true. So when we were in Pittsburgh, um, granted, well, actually, when we were in undergrad and we started dating, we spent a lot of time together. So
Okay.
then, once she graduated, and I was still finishing up my senior year, that distance, that's when we started to get into like a long distance relationship. And so that's when it started to get a little bit challenging in some regard. This was before COVID. And
Okay.
so once we both got in Pittsburgh, granted we were still living in two different places, but we still were seeing each other every day.
Every day,
And
yeah.
so once COVID happened, I mean, to be honest, like we were still seeing each other. Like it wasn't like a like, okay, I know they said social distance, but like me and Imani spend so much time together. It's like if I'm sick, she's sick, and vice versa. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like that. So I was, and also because like we were only two people in Pittsburgh outside of like one of her line sisters, and so we pretty much thrived together during quarantine a little bit, and
Okay.
so even when we were in Pittsburgh and then we left, I didn't really feel like any difference until we got back home to Illinois. So like, we
Mm,
were in Chicago at about the end of April. And so,
okay.
we lived in two different houses. And so at that point, I didn't feel like I had the same access. But I was still able to get in my car and go see her. But at that time in Chicago, it was also still like COVID was still getting worse. A lot of stuff happening.
Lockdown.
Yeah, lockdown. The Chicago,
Curfews.
yeah, curfew. There was a curfew. So there was a lot of stuff happening that I think was preventing us from seeing each other as much as we kind of wanted to.
Mm,
But the good thing that we have technology like FaceTime, because
yeah.
because even
Yeah.
now that's what we use a lot of. And so I think for us during the pandemic when it first started, I didn't feel a rift. I didn't feel any difference until we both got like I went and got employed and Imani was in Chicago. You know,
Mm,
so there wasn't any difference between us when quarantine started versus us being in Pittsburgh. So it's like I think for us the pandemic didn't really alter too much, but I guess what really kind of altered some things was us going back to that long distance sort of kind of, because now I'm like an hour away versus me being like 10, 15 minutes away and I can just drive to see her. So
yeah.
that's probably the only difference. So I wouldn't even blame COVID. I would just kind of blame situations. Yeah, pretty much situations.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think too, like, first of all, I commend y'all for dealing with that and not living together, and then, not being able to see each other when y'all wanted to with COVID, and you job searching, and then Steve on top of that was starting a job during the pandemic, and then Imani was starting school during the pandemic. So it was like you both were, under your own stress, and then on top of that, you still had to show up in a relationship with each other. You know what I'm saying? Which says a lot about both of you as individuals, but then also as a couple. And that actually leads me to my next question, because I wanted to ask, when it comes to your relationship, right? Uh, what about the quarantine, or or just the pandemic in general? Like, you felt like strengthened your relationship, but then also, what about it you felt like also brought some things to the forefront that you never addressed and you had to address, uh, because of quarantine or because of the pandemic in a sense?
Yeah. Um, that's a great question, Dwayne. And when I think about that, so Imani put me onto this thing called love languages.
Love languages,
And
yeah.
so she had me take this test and she also took it and it tells us kind of what our love language is. And Imani's is like quality time.
Okay.
And mine is like touch. Like I like if I could just do like this feels great. Like I just love
Hey,
hugging.
hey, listen. Don't listen. Don't hold back because of the show. Okay, you can wrap your arm around her, brother. Okay.
No, but so once I realized that, I guess what happened during the quarantine or even COVID is that like it essentially, because there was nothing to do, we didn't have to leave the house. We weren't like I didn't have to go physically to a building to take courses anymore. We were essentially together a lot more during the day.
Mm,
So it allowed us to like spend more time together in that way because ultimately we didn't really kind of kick it until oftentimes the evening. because that's when both of us would like kind of be free. That's when both of us would like, be able to like see each other. So to like be able to spend more time and connect in that way was probably the best thing. It allowed us to like, laugh a little bit more, talk about spending, if we were the last two people that we saw, what would we tell each other? Like we just started doing a whole bunch of like funny stuff, like, and so it was a great time for us to like really connect more on that way, talk a little bit more, pray a little bit more. For me, and I guess even for both of us, we're both growing in our faith, and so a lot of the churches that we were a part of, and went virtual. So getting a message, talking with other people about COVID, and how faith and COVID intersect in that way. It allowed us to like also, I think, get closer to God in some way in our faith as well. And that's also to speak for myself. Like, I don't want to speak for Imani, but I know I feel like in a sense we got closer in that way too spiritually. And so spending time together, getting closer spiritually, are like, I think, two key things I feel like that COVID or the pandemic brought that were good things. In terms of things that it brought to the forefront though, so I am I'm an introvert. I put myself in situations to be extroverted so I can get experience of feeling like, well, how do extroverts extrovert? So I put myself in those experiences. And oftentimes I like to be by myself a lot. So I grew up as the only child. Not the only child. I grew up as the youngest sibling. So like naturally I do feel like I'm the only child, because everybody else is like, 10, 15 years older than me. That's the youngest sibling I have, 10, 15 years older than me. So I naturally like to spend time by myself. Like solitude for me is okay. So the quarantine, the pandemic brought us together so much that, and sometimes you don't realize just how much somebody talks. Like there's nothing wrong with you talking. There's nothing wrong with you talking. But like,
Imani's face, like, you better fix that.
I know I talk, but I feel like when you spend so much time with somebody so much, and you're not used to spending that much time, you have to learn how to like to really share a space with somebody, and like especially during a national pandemic where it's like y'all both are anxious, y'all both are nervous, and it's like, because I got used to like kind of spending some of my time to myself, and it went from like talking to Imani almost every day and seeing her every day, I had to like really get more adjusted to that and be okay with that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like there was ultimately nothing wrong with that. I just for myself needed to get comfortable with like seeing Imani and talking to Imani every day. And that also I realized was helping us both comfort each other. Because like I said, we were both in Pittsburgh. We both really didn't know what was happening. So for us to like spend that time together and like be there for each other, I think helped. But I know for me personally, I had to get used to that. I had to like really, some days I'm like, all right, I want to go back to my spot for a little bit, but I also don't want you to feel like you by yourself in this thing. So that I think that was one of the things that it did push to the forefront in terms of like, sometimes you need that space, from your significant other. But I think the pandemic kind of, gave us a reason to kind of spend that time and share that space more often than not.
That makes perfect sense. Okay. Imani making that face like, okay, he got it right. Okay. Imani, did you want to share anything on that topic?
Yeah. I was actually going to say thanks, Dwayne, for asking this question, because, like we thought about what we were going to say, but we didn't talk to each other about our responses. So this is the first time that I'm hearing this in this delivery. So thank you.
We got to hear Uncut Uncorked, baby. No, I'm joking. No,
yeah. And so, which I also think is very interesting, because my response is very different actually from what he shared. And so I'm thinking more so about sort of like the later ends of the quarantine pandemic. And so, like he said, or like we both said, when we first sort of started dating, we were together basically all the time. Like my mother joked and said that we were Siamese twins because we were always together. So I was like, oh, like that's just how we are in my mind. And so like we had the time where we were in school, we were together all the time. We weren't in the same city, state, then we weren't But then once we came back to the same city and state, I was just like, oh, this is how we function. This is
Okay.
normal in my mind. Like, but
Yeah.
also knowing that my love language is quality time, to me that sort of makes sense. And so like the fact that we had different perceptions of that, I'm just like, oh, very interesting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was one of the things that I thought was a positive that came out of it, that we were still able to spend that quality time together. And then going back to one of the challenges or tensions was that I guess like sort of like this iteration of us being not in the same city and state was that we noticed, well, at least I did. I noticed that a lot of whenever we would like sort of have to go back to wherever we were after we had been together, like from visiting or things, sort of like the later stages of that, it was just like okay, you get on my nerves, I can't stand you. It wasn't like as overt as that, but it was definitely like
Yeah.
we need to we need to dip and separate, but also I'm thinking that probably more so stemmed out of the fact that like we knew that we weren't gonna be like have that reliability of like seeing each other whenever we wanted to. Like now it's more structured. We have to like make plans to go see each other and spend
Yeah.
time with one another. So like
Yeah.
that was also sort of like another added stressor. I felt like that was bringing that sort of quarantine, COVID, our situations brought into the mix that we didn't necessarily have to think about. Like it's one thing when it's like, okay, kind of is a little too much, I can go and then come back, versus like, okay, we just like it's like a forced separation as opposed to circumstantial. So
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense, and it's interesting to hear y'all say that because Steve, knowing Steve, like I personally never thought Steve was introverted. I never thought that. So when Steve told me that, I mean, I remember the first day he told me that. I'm like, okay, that's interesting you say that because you don't seem introverted at all. Like when Steve and I like started talking, like we had a good conversation, which is really good. And it's crazy how you had to balance that, like that introvertedness and that extrovertedness with with your partner in a sense. And then Imani talking about the distance and how the distance, somewhat kind of put was one of those issues that brought to the forefront. Because you're right, like traveling back and forth during a pandemic can be difficult, and then also being in the place that you all were at. And I don't want to say the exact. I'm not sure if y'all said the exact city, but the COVID cases aren't like low there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I know that caused some tension too, which actually is crazy because this leads me to my next question. Y'all talked about y'all as individuals, and I think Steve talked about trying to balance having that time to himself, but then also like being an extrovert and showing up. I wanted to ask how with the pandemic and quarantine specifically, like how did you all balance showing up for yourself and then also showing up for your partner? Because I think that's tough. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'll be brutally honest. Like the pandemic when it first hit, my mental health was not the greatest. It wasn't. Like I was eating crazy. I wasn't getting good sleep. I didn't want to go to work the next morning. Like it just really wasn't the greatest. And until I got a grasp and an understanding of how I can attack this thing and how I can deal with this and how I can cope with this and what my new normal is like in this situation. And so I guess like for you all, how was that process for you all as individuals? How were you showing up for yourselves as individuals, but then also how were you like still making time for each other?
Oh, um, well, for myself, and kind of like what I mentioned earlier is that I started picking up new hobbies, new passions. So something that I have yet to let go of that I heard sort of at the very beginning of the pandemic it was like a word on a particular Sunday that I heard. It was like a message that was left, and it stuck with me. And it basically said like there are blessings behind closed doors, and so I took that as like something that like I needed to hear during the pandemic because literally COVID was a big in some way closed door. Like it closed a lot of different things, I think, in terms of like opportunity, in terms of like ceremonies, in terms of celebration. I mean,
Yeah,
it also allowed for celebrations to be tweaked and things to be altered. But I feel like, like you said, in terms of like that mental space, like it made me feel like I'm missing something. Like I didn't feel like I said, the year ended, the school year ended kind of abruptly.
yeah,
Didn't get to walk the stage. Even the way in which I proposed to Imani didn't go the way in which I envisioned it to go. And so a lot of that for me made me, in some way, and I was still job searching, still hoping to get a job. I didn't get a job offer until June, and I graduated in April. So
Yeah.
a lot of that time I spent like sort of trying to figure out what do I do with this extra time that I have. Like now,
Mhm.
I'm not really leaving the house anymore. I don't have to go to class physically, and so like, what am I doing with my time? So like, I spent time picking up new hobbies like baking. And this is something that I watched like my mom and my aunties do growing up. And so I hit up my auntie over the quarantine. I was like, "Can you help me make this cake?" And she sent me all the ingredients. So I made my first 7 Up cake, which I think came out good. All right, the first one didn't
Seven
come
Up
out
cake
that
is
good.
fire, by the way. Oh my god.
I got you. I'm gonna make you some. I'm gonna let you taste. I'm gonna let you taste. But
Okay.
the first one I made wasn't that good. The second one I made came out a lot better. So I started baking a little bit more. I spent more time in terms of like, I'm a gamer, so I naturally game a lot, but I spent a
Yeah.
lot of time gaming. That was my escape from COVID. Like, at least in the game there was no pandemic. At least in the game I could do what I want. There was no restrictions. I spent a lot of time also trying to read. I'm not reading as much as I want to, but
Okay.
I got to get a feel for reading for joy again instead of reading for class.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the reading I was doing was coming from coursework and articles, and so I didn't really care for reading as much. So I tried to pick up a book. Didn't finish those books, but I picked them up, started reading them. In the process of finishing them up now.
Okay.
Spent more time with Imani, of course, and like I said, I think that also helped me because like I'm naturally sort of like to myself, and so to
Mhm.
have somebody else there to bounce ideas off of, talk to, really really talk about what's happening in the world with, kind of help me mentally.
Okay.
And so I guess also to answer the second part of your question in terms of like how did I support Imani even during that time?
Yeah.
Um, what I'm a listener, so I listen a lot to what people say. I
Mhm.
listen to people like body reaction, like communication can be nonverbal, and so a lot of that I picked up from Imani. Whether if she wanted to be bothered, didn't want to be bothered, I took that cue as like, okay, I'm gonna give you your space for a little bit. If she wanted to, eat certain things, she wanted to do certain things. Even with the pandemic kind of thriving, we still find a way to like still make the most of doing the things that we did pre-COVID. Like we both are like, I think we're foodies. I think we like to go try restaurants and food. So we still try
Yeah.
to like try different foods and stuff like that were
Yeah.
open. We get delivered and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we still try to do things, and I still try to be there for her as if there was no pandemic.
Wow.
So if that meant like doing like date night with us, just watching a movie, kind of doing what we normally do, like we still try to keep that stuff up and not let it
Mhm.
slip through the crack because of a pandemic. And
Yeah.
what I didn't want to do is like make the pandemic an excuse. Oh, like we can't do that because of COVID, or we can't hang out because like no, like I still wanted to make sure that we were still doing what made us a couple, like hanging out, talking,
Yeah.
you know, sharing stories, like really just laughing, like all that stuff we still did, and I still tried to make sure that it was still there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's also what kind of helped us to like be there for one another during the pandemic for sure.
Wow. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah. Iman, did you want to share anything, Imani, or?
Yeah. So for me, the two major words that came up were grace and compromise.
Ooh, you better stop, Imani. Okay. You done start preaching on here tonight. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But like even now still there, and I guess it like also may depend on sort of like what things we have going on or what season we're in. But like I said, I'm in grad school, and daily I'm just like, yeah, like it's okay to show yourself some grace because it's a
Yeah.
lot. But
Yeah.
I just feel like also in that same vein, like not only like showing grace and compromising with myself, but also doing that for Steve. I felt like once I was able to do those things for myself, it was a little bit easier to do that for him as well. And
Mm.
so, also going back to the faith piece, I feel like COVID was a large part of like a lot of my faith development, and so also like that continuous pouring into myself. I got really into doing devotionals and like praying a lot more,
Wow. Yeah.
meditation. So like all of those things I felt like were grounding me. And
Yeah.
then the fact that I was able to pour into myself, I think also allowed for me to be more available for Steve as well. So going back to like that common saying of if you can't love yourself, you can't love others. I felt like COVID really sort of brought that to light and showed me like what that meant practically, and was just able to, help me live that out, I guess, more. So
Yeah. Yeah, no, you grace and compromise. God damn it, Imani. I wish you would have told me when the damn quarantine started, because that would have helped me out so much. Grace and compromise. Y'all, if y'all don't take anything away from today's episode, take that away. Grace and compromise, even with yourself, with your partner. Because no, I'm serious. Like that's so real. You got to have grace with yourself, but of course you also have to compromise. So I think of grace, having grace with yourself and having grace for others, having that patience, having that understanding that being flexible, being adjustable, all those different things. But in compromising, because you have to compromise with yourself. Like I understand not going into quarantine, not going into the pandemic. I can't do things I was doing before. So I can't go out to and have and drink with friends. I can't just randomly go out to a bar anymore. You know what I'm saying? That's a compromise. I can't just freely go to any gym that I want to go to. That's a compromise. I can't freely travel anywhere I want to go to because some folks have extremely high coronavirus numbers in a sense, and so it's just different things you got to. So that's so true, and I just want to highlight you and thank you for sharing that because that's really big. And thank you so much for sharing that because I think that's really cool. And Imani, you said something though earlier. I want to get back to. You said something about being engaged, and so for those who don't know, Imani and Steve are engaged, and yeah, that's such a beautiful thing of y'all being engaged. So and I know I'm going off script here a little bit, but this is the last question. I promise. If one of you all want to talk about what it's like being engaged during a pandemic, like what is that like right now for you all? Oh, he made that laugh like
Been
woo.
engaged during the pandemic, man. And you want to go? I don't even know if it's just being engaged during a pandemic that's making this process stressful. I think this planning for a wedding in general is stressful. Learning learning to plan a future with somebody when you're not used to like thinking like turning I to we is like also pretty difficult to do if you're not used to doing something like that. And so a lot of the conversations we have, a lot of the decisions we make, a lot of decisions I make, I keep in mind Imani. Like
Wow.
if I know like you know if I know I'm gonna need something, or if I know I'm planning to do something in the next few years, I keep Imani in mind just because I know like she's also in grad school, and with her field, she has to get a licensure in a specific place to actually do her work. So she can't just get up and go. She can't just get up and dip. While me, I'm in higher education, and like it's a little bit more flexible in that way. So everything I'm doing now in terms of like where I'm at, in terms of like my goals, in terms of like saving, in terms of like we started doing premarital counseling actually, which I think has really we're new in it. We're not too far in it yet, but we're
Yeah,
new. But I
yeah.
think it's starting to get the ball rolling in terms of like our different upbringings and how do we bring those upbringings together. And so I think that even before COVID, even before the pandemic, planning a future with somebody when y'all have two different upbringings is challenging. But I think it's a beautiful thing to do it during the pandemic because one, I mean, it just adds additional stress, and that's okay. But two, it allows us to really flush out how do we want our wedding to look like? How do we want our future to be? What are your goals after you graduate? What are your goals after after I plan to work for a few years before I go back to school? Like we talk about those things, more now than I think we probably would have in a non-COVID year.
Mm,
And our wedding is also planning for 2022. So a lot of that also has been intentionally embedded. One, because she graduates around that time, but also because hopefully by then COVID will have come and gone, and so we can have a little bit more flexibility for people to be there. But I think that being engaged during a pandemic, I don't know if it's been any more stressful, but I think that the pandemic just added a little bit more stress to it. But we're still navigating that. We're still talking. We're still planning. We're still together in that sense of making decisions. But I think it's also just been challenging to like go from myself to like, okay, maybe I should tell Imani about this as well, so she can be in the loop. So that's also something that I'm learning and I'm getting through as well, for sure.
Yeah. No, and listen, I'm not engaged, so I can only imagine the stress that that places y'all under right now with trying to plan a wedding right now in COVID. It's funny because I was talking to my brother. My brother's getting married and he was planning a wedding, and he was telling me like the stresses that he were going through. So I listen. I can only imagine, like I said. So uh, you know, good luck to y'all. Though. So I guess my next question is: so when is the day? I know you said 2022, but is there a date set yet or no? There's not a date set yet.
Not an official date.
Okay.
We have a range, but we're like he said, we're taking baby steps with the
Baby
planning.
step. Okay, I ain't mad at you.
But we're looking at like the summer-ish of 2022.
Okay, I like that. Okay, 2022. Listen, 2022 ain't far away. So,
Right.
Right.
We trying to get the a little bit faster.
Right.
okay, got you. Uh, no, so for again, folks, I say this a lot, but I truly mean it. I just want to thank y'all because that kind of concludes our question portion. So I just want to thank you all so much for taking time out and being vulnerable in this space and answering these questions openly and honestly. I always say it takes a lot for people to get up on here and do this, and so I truly, truly, truly thank you all from the bottom of my heart for getting onto this platform and opening it up about y'all relationship on Valentine's Day, on Imani's birthday. So I really, really, really appreciate that. But now, now it's time for some fun, right? We got through the questions, we got through the hard stuff. It's time for some fun, and so right now, y'all, again, put in the chat what y'all are drinking on. I want to know. Imani and Steve want to know. We want to know y'all wine recommendations. So put in the chat what y'all drinking on, and we also, if you have any questions, now is the time to put any questions y'all have for Steve and Imani into the chat, and then I will read those questions off. But while we wait for y'all questions, we have a game to play with Steve and Imani, which I'm excited for. And so the game is called Who is Who Game. And so basically, what it is that I'm going to ask a question. So I'm going to ask a question: Who said I love you first, or something like that. The two, Steve and Imani is going to point to who they think it is without even consulting with each other. They just gonna. It's kind of how TikTok is. TikTok got the two little sides. Who who said I love you first, and they got the names on each side, and they kind of walk towards that way. So it's kind of like how TikTok is. If y'all saw the TikToks, but again, put into the comments what y'all drinking on. Any questions y'all have for Steve and Imani, now is the time to kind of put those into the comments, and I'll be monitoring the chat to check those out. Okay, so Steve and Imani, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Okay, all right. So the first one is who approached who first? Now we monitor the chat to check those out. Okay. Got you. Okay. Hold on. Oh, y'all pointing at each other. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
You said who approached who first?
Yeah, who approached who first?
Okay, it probably was me. If I think back to it, it probably was me. Yeah.
It was Steve.
I'll take that one.
Okay. It was Steve. Okay. Who met whose parents first? Oh, Imani. Okay.
So he met parents first.
Oh no. Okay. He met your parents first. Okay. Got you. Okay. Got you. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay. Who said I love you first? Oh, hold up. What we got? What's going on here?
In my mind, I think he did, but he keeps saying that that's not true, and I don't have any evidence of such. So
I just know it wasn't me. So if it wasn't me, it had to be Imani. That's all I know.
I just know it wasn't me.
That's I wouldn't sit up in court, and I'm not buying it.
Okay. Who asked who to be in a relationship first?
It was me.
It was Steve. Okay, it was Steve. Steve claiming that. Yeah. Okay, got you. Okay, so who is the cook in the relationship?
It's Imani, but it depends on the time of the day. So
okay.
Like Imani can cook a really good lunch dinner.
Okay.
When it come to breakfast though, no, that's me, hands down. I can cook a mean breakfast, like
I mean omelet, huh, Steve? You get in
mean
there.
omelet, get the flip, like mean omelet, for real, for real.
Nah, that's dope, man. That's dope. That's dope. Okay. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. And so this is the last one. Okay, Steve, when I ask this, I'm gonna need you to be honest, okay? Okay, Steve. I'm saying Steve particularly because this question always stumped the fellas for some reason. Okay. Who cried in front of who first? Oh, okay. I was hoping that she said Steve, but no, okay.
It took me a while to fully get comfortable with crying in front of her. That's another topic for another day.
That's a whole
Yeah, yeah, that's a whole nother topic,
Yeah, when
right?
it comes to crying, but like it was definitely her. But I eventually broke down one time because I just
Okay.
had to come out. But like it was definitely her first for sure.
Got you, got you. Okay, okay, cool, cool, cool. Listen, so we asked, so that concludes the game piece, folks. Make sure y'all put in the comments any questions that y'all have. We actually have a question. Listen, my girl Shannon, I gotta shout out Shannon. Shannon's in here every week asking questions,
Shannon,
and and just showing up and just thank you so much, Shannon. I appreciate you. But Shannon said, "What type of relationship do you hope to have with your parents and in-laws post COVID and after marriage?"
that's a great question.
Yes, that's
Listen,
good.
That's
Shannon,
a really good
yo,
question.
I got to get her a check. You hear me?
Oh, bro, you gotta get her in here next week.
Oh.
That's a
Yeah.
good question.
Well, I'll start. I would say that, like even so, we've been dating 4 years
Okay,
at this point, and so well, dating and relations, engaged, the whole
got you.
that's
Yeah,
been 4 years.
yeah.
And I would say that we're pretty close with both of our future in-laws.
Mm,
So like yeah, like literally I call his parents my parents and the same with him. So we're like already at a place where we're pretty close.
yeah,
I would say COVID has shifted that a bit just because we're trying to be more, like conscious of interacting with each other's parents just, to adhere to like different COVID restrictions and making sure we're being safe and things like that.
sure. Yeah.
So I would say that I haven't been able to like interact with his parents as much as I would like to at this point because of COVID. So speaking about after COVID and I guess after marriage in that regard, I would say that the only difference we would be spending more time in person. But at this point, like we talk on the phone, we text all the time. There's definitely like a high level of engagement there. I would say between both parties. So
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I would kind of second what Imani was saying.
Okay.
I think when COVID first started, and personally speaking, I feel really connected to Imani's parents in some way.
Wow.
They are quite supportive, and I love my parents. My dad is a little bit older, so like I'm the youngest, and so like my dad is like older, and so like Imani was saying, I think it's been harder for her to come to a place of wanting to visit and see my parents because like they're all a little bit older. And so wanting to be mindful of them, keeping them safe, but also to the point of like you might have said, like I think if I needed something and I didn't feel like I could go to my parents, I could definitely go to her parents, and
Wow.
vice versa. And so even post COVID, I just hope to like continue to grow in relationship with them, continue to get to know them. Granted, me and Imani have been together and known each other for 4 years, and probably known each other longer than that. But like,
Okay.
I'm still learning who her parents are. Like I'm still
Wow.
getting to know them. I'm still celebrating with them. Still learning from them. And so like I think that when it comes to learning and teaching, I can go to either or. But her parents have been very supportive, very helpful in just my own understanding of life, as it pertains to because we're also in the point of trying to get a house when we get married. So we're also looking into some properties.
Okay.
Um, yeah, we doing we. It's different. I wouldn't think about no house 5 years ago. I can tell you that much. And so for a lot of that information, I go to her parents, or I even might ask my mom a question specifically about houses. But to have them in our lives as we go through this has been
Okay.
extremely helpful because I know we're blessed in that way to have them here to like guide us, so we won't be out here straight. So
Yeah.
that's probably the biggest blessing. So like I said, even post marriage, I'm still looking to get closer to them. But even now, I feel like I've known them and I feel comfortable talking to them about almost anything for sure.
And I just want to add also to that.
Yeah.
Both of our parents have very different perspectives. Like
Okay. Okay. Okay.
talking about like we're bringing two upbringings together to make us a we. Like the way that we were
Wow.
raised and like our parents in general, they're just like very, very different. And it's not
Okay.
like different in a bad way. Like they get along well and everything, but it's just like you can tell that we were definitely raised by two different groups of
Yeah.
people kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so like the fact that we're still able to like all still, like connect and relate with one another, I think is also super valuable in this experience as well.
Got you, got you. Okay, no, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And different is good, right? And that's how y'all learn from each other, which I'm sure you all have learned from each other, learned from each other's parents, and that's definitely a beautiful process. We got another question as well. They said if you all could make an album about your relationship during quarantine, name the top 5 songs on the album. Top 5 songs on the album. That's a good ass question. I ain't mean to cut. That's a good ass question. I ain't gonna lie.
The viewers are intense. Like, I wasn't ready for them. Okay, let me get it together. I would
Yeah,
say
take a moment. Take a moment. Take a moment. To think about that because that's a good one. That's a good one. Top 5 songs on the album about your relationship during quarantine. Hmm.
Okay.
okay.
So I feel like number one
Okay.
will probably be a DJ Khaled parody of "All We Do Is Eat." Because when the quarantine started, all we did was eat, like for
Okay.
sure. And so, like I said,
Okay.
we're foodies, and so like they say food is there's comfort food. So like I feel like we ate a lot of food.
Yeah.
So I feel like quarantine definitely I know myself putting on some LBs that I'm trying to manifest and get rid of in certain ways.
Yeah.
But eating was definitely a big thing. So I say all we do is eat would be the first track for sure.
Okay.
I would say I don't know in what order is this top 5, but it's on there.
Okay.
Ella May Boot Up.
Listen, that was my jam during quarantine. You heard? Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, like literally, especially like when we were still in Pittsburgh, we were together all the time,
Okay.
like pretty much all day, every day. So
Okay.
I would
Okay.
definitely
Yeah.
say, that, and then like I definitely like remember like Saturday mornings is just like we're chilling, cuddling, like it's just boot up, literally.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's 2, right? We got. I think we got 3 more.
Yep. The third one. So, like I said, COVID, the pandemic has created some highs and some lows for us. And I think we have been able to celebrate, and so I think the third one would probably be it's a song by Post Malone and Quavo. I think it's called "Celebrate." No, it's called. It's basically a song about celebration. It's like.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Congratulations. That's what it's called.
Congratulations. That's what it's
Post
called, yo.
Malone and Quavo, congratulations. Because
Yeah.
we did have a lot of, W's too. Like 2020 wasn't all that bad for us in
Yeah,
the
for sure.
partnership. So I think I definitely would say congratulations about Post Malone. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 3. You
Yeah.
got 2 more.
I would say a little bit of it is more so me than Steve, but both of us are guilty. And I mean, there might be a better song than what I'm thinking of right now, but what I'm thinking about right now is Tiptoeing in My Jordans. But we did a lot of shopping. That's what I'm trying to get at. We did a lot of online shopping.
Okay. Okay.
The quarantine, and I don't know, like, I guess we thought we were about to pop out, like, tiptoeing in my Jordans with these new fits, but we're still in quarantine, so I don't know where we thought we were going. But
Yeah.
online shopping was definitely at an all-time high.
Okay. So that's 4. One more. We got one more.
One more.
Steve, you gotta come through. You gotta bring it home. Imani came with some good ones.
Man, I'm thinking like, man, what's one good song that I feel like we experienced? And I'm thinking like from the beginning to the end.
Now take your time, brother. Take your time.
Man. Uh, so I don't know if this would like fit. Like, so I know the person who asked this question probably wants to know specifically about us, but I feel like in some way this song has still resonated with us during the quarantine,
Okay.
because of like the society. So, and just because we're both Greek, I'm just gonna add it in here. Nuck if you buck.
Woo!
Probably
You better get me started on here.
because first of all, when the pandemic first broke out, nobody knew what this was going to be like, and so then you had so many rules and regulations around like people wearing masks, people not wearing masks, and for us, we take wearing masks seriously. So we pull up anywhere with a mask on, and so we ready to go. If somebody ain't got their mask on, and they try to tell us we got mask off, like looking at us like we crazy. So I'm gonna definitely go with Nuck if you buck.
Really, that reminded me when we were actually in Pittsburgh. There was like this is when COVID first started. Like you said, people didn't know exactly what it was, and we were taking a walk, and a guy walked out of a store. He didn't have his mask on. He was like, like literally coughing all over us, and I literally had to calm Steve down because he really was in Nuck if you buck mode. I'm like, we're not about to. I mean, I know it's serious, but it's that serious. So that's definitely on that.
Listen. These I will say. Listen, one thing I've noticed. It's funny y'all say that with these masks stuff, because one thing I've noticed is that these Karens in masks have been out of control.
Out of control.
That's all I'll say. I don't want to get into detail about my stories, but I've had some interesting interactions with Karens and not wearing masks. In grocery stores, even in my even in my work area as well. It's been interesting. So it's been interesting. But no, that is a great playlist. So shout out to y'all for creating that playlist. That was amazing. However, that does conclude our question period. So I just want to thank everyone for asking questions that you asked. If you have any questions, feel free to comment on the playback. And I'm sure Steve and Imani, they have access to that so they can answer any questions that you all have as well. Man, listen, y'all, I got nothing but love for y'all. I just want to thank y'all so much for doing this show. When I reached out to Steve, I initially thought I was like, "Nah, he gonna say no. It's Valentine's Day. He trying to whine and romance, Imani." So I'm thinking he probably ain't got time for a brother, but he said yes, and he came through. And Imani came through as well too. And I just want to thank y'all so much. I wish y'all nothing but the best of luck on whatever endeavors y'all working on right now in life. Good luck with the wedding planning. Good luck with the actual wedding day, because I know that can be a lot as well too. And I always do a virtual cheers, so we gotta do a virtual cheers for you all. So if you got your glasses, definitely toast them. At home, if you got your glasses, toast them up. We're gonna do a virtual cheers to Imani and Steve, because man, y'all doing great things. So virtual cheers to y'all. So we gotta. I'm going to top that bottle off right there. Listen, I'm more than halfway through this bottle. That's how much I be drinking on the show. No, I'm more than halfway through this thing. But no, it's been another episode of Uncut and Uncorked. Make sure you all go to the YouTube channel, Uncut and Uncorked. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share the videos if you can, right? We're on Facebook as well. I'm on my Facebook, Dwayne Anderson. If you're on YouTube, feel free to view them on Facebook as well. We got Facebook and YouTube where you can view them on. I'm actually about to start uploading these so you can also just hear the audio on my official podcast, Uncut and Uncorked. I'm going to transition into like the podcast piece so you can just hear the audio and the playback, and I'll post that on my Instagram. Make sure you follow me on my Instagram, Earthly Vine. That's Earthly Vine. If you need to know how to spell it, you can Google it. Right now, I'm a little tipsy off this wine, so I'm not going to spell it right now because I might mess it up. Imani and Steve, is there anything you all would like to promote? You all would like to share at all on the show for the people to follow you all at, or?
You can follow me on IG. I don't post it that often, but you can follow me on IG at that's Stevo. That's AYEDAT Stevo. It's a double S, so that's Stevo. On Instagram. Stevo. And I mean, I will get my Twitter too, but like I don't know if y'all want to follow me on Twitter. Just follow me on Instagram. I don't really have nothing to promote. Black Lives Matter. It's Black History Month. do something great for somebody black that you know for sure.
Talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. Imani, did you have anything you want to promote, Imani?
Nope.
No, you good. Okay.
But what he said, that's Stevo. Go follow him on Instagram.
Hey, she said, listen, get her man's followers up, okay? Y'all better, okay? Okay. But no, that being said, thank y'all again so much. Thank you to viewers. Appreciate y'all. If y'all got any wine recommendations, reach out to me. Thank y'all so much. I have a beautiful Valentine's Day. Celebrate love because love is a beautiful thing. Uh, on that note, we are out of here, and I will see you all next Sunday. We got two more episodes before we transition into season 2. So this is season 1, Black Love, Uncut and Uncorked. Thank y'all so much. You have a beautiful day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.